Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin-yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Wednesday, October 20th, 10 p.m. Mountain Time 2021. That's Mountain Time. La Palma, puffing and passing. Slight uptick in activity tonight, directly related to the uptick in seismicity earlier today. We'll get to that. But the big story, Sierra snow impacts travel in Northern California. Snow is moving in and the drought is ending. Keep calm. It's boom time. Biggest snow producer of the season so far hits Tahoe. 6 to 10 inches in the mountains are looking like global warming goodness. Now, the forecast precipitation from today for the next 6 days is epic. If you're in southern, let's say Oregon or Northern California, you're going to be looking at 8 to 10 inches of precipitation in the next 6 days. That could translate to up to 4 to 8 feet of snow in the high elevations and flooding along the coast, as well as, putting out those wildfires, which is good news. Exactly opposite of everything you've been told. Now, moving along, western Kilo land is also blanketed in snow Wednesday morning. A blanket of snow covered Rapid City Wednesday morning from an overnight winter storm. A few inches of snow piled up in parts of town, but crews were able to clear the roads rapidly. It's about time for folks to get their hats and gloves out because there is likely more snow and, global warming goodness coming. Yes, that snow you're seeing in upstate New York weather forecasts, and we'll get to that in just a minute. After we discuss the snow tire shortage, which is expected as winter approaches, and you know what's happening. The multinational corporations are creating a global supply shutdown. Here's your GFS model for ongoing snow. BC, it's going to continue and continue and continue. Now, the first snow hits the Sierras on Friday, October 23rd, and continues through Monday and Tuesday, where they could see upwards of 4 feet of snow through Tuesday, which will be their lose day. And take a look at the totals pouring into Idaho. Yeah, that could be 2 feet of snow in the high mountains, up to 4 feet in my prediction. The snow's not going to stop. The snow has begun, and the snow will continue. Now, the snow is not really going to reach the Northeast until it's looking like right here, Saturday and Sunday, October 30th, 31st. That's Halloween. That's a Halloween snow boom for the high elevations of the Northeast. So we'll keep a close eye on it, where the mountains of the West, the ski season has begun. Wet weather pattern in the West, severe storms in the eastern U.S. A number of Pacific storm systems will bring excessive rainfall, strong winds, and mountain snow to the western U.S. These systems may cause burn scar flooding impacts. Severe thunderstorms may impact the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, into central and southern Appalachians and portions of western Texas on Thursday. And there are frost and freeze warnings up, folks. Get those plants covered. Record-breaking hail hits central Queensland. Monstrous hailstones measuring 16 centimeters. These are softballs. These are, life-ending hailstones. And they hit the ground in central Queensland on Tuesday as spring just begins. Ding, ding. These are some of the largest hailstones ever recorded in Australia. As predicted 5 years ago on this channel, increased hail as we move forward, and we've been seeing record-breaking hail in South America, record-breaking hail in North America, and now record-breaking hail in Queensland. They got pummeled. Like snow, freak hailstorm batters Australia's east coast. Coffs Harbour cops a hammering as shopping center ceiling collapses. Take a look at that. And so we have record depth and record size. Are you picking it up? Scandinavia receives feet of early season snow. Flurries hit South Korea ahead of schedule as, the global collapse continues. Beijing suffers the lowest October temperature in half a century as the city freezes 20 days earlier than normal. Rare spring blizzard batters Argentina. Can you imagine that? Now, did you know that an earthquake swarm is now rocking Oregon's largest volcano, Mount Hood? Well, you do now, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But first, we're going to check out the seismic update. Seismic update. Yes, the most recent quake just happening In Idaho and Georgetown, 3.4. That means, well, Yosemite's waking up. No, it doesn't. It's pretty normal activity. But I just was going to go with the flow there. Seismic update, no quakes to note. Pretty normal activity worldwide. But the volcanoes, they's be exploding. Now, real quick, let's take a look at the volcanic uptick at Mount Hood. Like we should, because earthquakes rock Oregon's largest volcano. And let's just see what they have to say here. Just months after a similar swarm impacted the volcano, which we reported on, a fresh swarm of earthquakes is rocking Mount Hood, Oregon's largest volcano. Now, in the last 30 days, 41 earthquakes have occurred there, and this is the latest update in the last 24 minutes. I just updated this. There have been 30 quakes in just the last 7 days at Mount Hood. This is the largest seismic swarm since we've been monitoring Mount Hood in the last 5 years. 30 quakes in the last 7 days. Now let's look at the last 48 hours live on air. Now here we are at the earthquake activity in the last 48 hours, and it's just showing one earthquake of magnitude 0.2. Near Mount Hood, just one, which means the seismic swarm has ended. But that doesn't mean the safety is imminent, because we did show you this cluster. Now let's take a more detailed look at the cluster. So what we're looking at here is quakes at depth, and what's happening in this particular seismic array here is all the quakes are above 5 kilometers. All the quakes are happening between 3 kilometers and the surface. This is indicative of something happening at the top of this volcano, which means we have to keep a close eye on Mount Hood, as we should, because it might go puff, puff past. There's a lot of snow up there still, and that could be bad news. So we're keeping a close eye on it for you. Now, worldwide volcano news update. Lots to report on. Suanos Hima, puffing and passing to 10,000 feet. We have Fuego, Popo, Languila, and Manam. Now, Fuego is puffing to 15,000 feet. Manam is still puffing after its 50,000-foot paroxysm earlier today at 8,000 feet. Languila is now puffing at 15,000 feet. And we have Piton de la Fornas, which just experienced a seismic swarm, which has quieted off, similar to Mount Hood, and we're keeping a close eye on all of this for you. Now, La Palma, Canary Islands update. The lava flow in La Laguna has touched, but so far spared a gas station, which hopefully has been completely empty earlier on, which is kind of a joke here. And here is the lava flowing right by the gas station. But no joke, more buildings, structures being destroyed in La Palma as the effusive nature of that cinder cone continues to decimate the island. Now, as we've predicted in the past, we think that the La Palma volcanic eruption will be coming to a close soon. It just peaked with its last seismic outburst of 4.8, and now the largest earthquake in the last 24 hours at 3.7 is good news. We're still at 100 quakes in 24 hours, which shows that this volcano is quite active. And if I could get quakes with depth here, we can show you a little bit about what's going on. And you can see in the last 4 or 5 days, these huge dense clusters of quakes are being broken up, less dense and more spread out. And in the last 3 hours, almost no seismic activity, even at depth. There have been very few deep quakes in the last 36 hours, which, in my opinion, shows a cusp. Maximum eruption was at October 15th. It's been reducing since, and we should see a downtick in volcanic activity in the coming days. Let's take a quick look here over at the live erupting volcano in 480. That's the best we can do here. And earlier today, we had a seismic uptick at a shallow level, and so about 6 to 12 hours later, you're going to see that volcano up on the surface, and this is what we're seeing. When you see those seismic swarms around 10 to 6 kilometers with the dense pattern in the quakes per depth at La Palma, what you're going to see at about 6 hours later is this: effusive lava eruptions at the surface, which means more lava flows, more destroyed buildings. well, and more impacted lives on the island of La Palma, where 80,000 people currently live. So our hearts and prayers go out to La Palma. But this is a tiny eruption compared to some of the stuff that happened today, including Mount Aso in southwestern Japan. It erupted spectacularly. No injuries reported, and we do have footage of that, which we would like to share with you now. And here we are at the volcano live. This was an eruption that occurred, well, just around 24 hours ago while people were going home from work. 16 climbers were on the mountain during this eruption. All lived and all were seen running away from the explosion. Absolutely splendiferous. Splendacular. Mother Nature at its finest. Now, let's just pause this. This tiny puff is bigger than any of the eruptions that have happened at La Palma if you're waiting for the end of the world based on that eruption. And this volcanic eruption is a minor VEI2 and barely went maybe 20,000 feet into the air. Just one puff and one pass, bigger than almost the entire La Palma eruption that we've seen for the entire month. And that's a boom to scale and knowledge. Oh, macaroni. That is dab worthy, indeed. Fantastic. Terrific. One more time. Now you can see an initial vent here and a secondary vent below. It's a double boom. This is a double boom zoom. And as this races towards these people, this hot gas and ash that could melt the flesh from their skin, they're scurrying away. Look at them all. But luckily, the wind blew all this rapidly to the south, and everyone was spared. Fantastic. We'll leave you links to all of the volcanic footage below, and the links to all of the information that we cover on the video, as we always do, for your benefit. Now, the good news is that this volcano only erupts at VEI2 historically. So this is one and done. It might puff and pass again. But the alert level is currently sitting at 3, which means it's quite non-life threatening. Now, it does seem pretty life-threatening from that perspective, and we may revisit that. But come take a look at Nature News, subscribe to the channel, give them a thumbs up, and we appreciate that. Now, Manam, also exploding to 50,000 feet earlier today. And here we see volcanic ash was from 50,000 to 35,000 feet for quite some time, over 12 hours after the eruption. So this is quite a significant eruption, probably VEI 4, and could be ongoing. So we're going to keep a close eye on Manam. Now, Manam, the last VEI 4 was back in 2014, lasted till now, which is continuing. They're claiming this is a continuous eruption since 2014. Who knew? Well, now you know. So this could be going up to VEI 5, this Manam, and that may be one of the ways they're hiding this from us. Because if they're claiming the eruption started in 2014 and no one knows about it, well, I guess now you know. Now, the one thing I want to bring your attention to tonight, and this is breaking information. A lot of people are interested in what the first volcano on the west coast of the United States may be. It might not be in the United States. In fact, it could be Level Mountain, which is a large volcanic complex in the northern interior of British Columbia, Canada. It's located 50 kilometers northwest of Telegraph Creek and 60 kilometers west of Dease Lake and the Nalin Plateau. Now, it has only been recently studied by volcanologists and geologists, especially field mappers in the region, and Level Mountain has been responsible for some of the largest eruptions during, yes, the Younger Dryas event, the last cosmic catastrophe. So we need to bring this close up on our crosshairs. And luckily, the eruptive history, well, it doesn't exist. It says the volcano has had large eruptions greater than VEI4 prior to 10,000 years ago. And that is what all the geologic papers in question are now addressing. They think this volcano has erupted multiple times since the Younger Dryas event, and it may be one we need to keep a close eye on. Level Mountain in British Columbia. And so, if Mount Hood isn't the first to erupt, it will be Level Mountain, and it will level the area, literally. A simulation of the nuclear high-altitude electromagnetic pulse produced by the X-ray in the ionosphere. This paper coming out just 4 days ago is saying, well, are you ready? Strap on your seatbelts, kids. If we have an X-flare large enough, like an X25, let's say, the effects on Earth will be equivalent to an EMP attack from a foreign entity, which means that all devices, electronic, will fail instantly during this event. We won't have any wait time, 17 hours, 24 hours. As the solar storm approaches us and the plasma density hits Earth, the initial event will cause an EMP on Earth that will fry everything. And then secondary events coming days later will light the planet on fire. So, bad news coming from a paper 4 days ago, which clearly states proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. We're going to be doing some exclusive podcasts on this topic and this paper in the weeks to come. So stay tuned. Now, this is Seismic Telescope reveals a titanic tree-like plume feeding Earth's volcanoes. We're going to be doing some podcasts on this particular topic as well because it's completely fascinating. And I'm sure you've watched one of our cohorts and currently charlatans over at that huge channel where the suspicious folks go. And well, just based on a lot of his analysis on current geologic events, he's really not doing any good research on what's actually happening on the Earth. So there's that. But we'll get to that in a later podcast. But what they've done is a seismic survey on just a tiny slice here in southern Africa on the East African Rift. This is the seismic survey. If they had enough money, they could have gone north and south and east and west of this, but it's just the slice they looked at. And what they found is a direct connection from the outer core up into the crust, which means that all those concentric ring models you're taught in Geology 101 and all that is complete nonsense. It's bullshit. And we have a complete connection from the inner core to the outer core up into the crust, which is directly connected. And these are magma ports, which is why we can have supervolcanic eruptions and why the biggest question in my geologic history, why kimberlite eruptions happen. Now, a kimberlite eruption on the surface pales in comparison to a supervolcanic eruption. A kimberlite pipe may only be 5 to 10 feet in diameter, but through that pipe, what erupts is an eruption that goes into space, and it creates all the diamond pipes on Earth. De Beers knows about them, and now you know about them. These kimberlite eruptions have occurred here in Colorado. My brother even did studies on them, collecting samples for multinational corporations that are mining industrial diamonds. Now, these diamonds have to emanate in the deep mantle. And the only way this carbon can quiesce into diamond at the surface is for it to be super cool during a kimberlite eruption. These eruptions come out at tens of thousands of miles an hour above the surface and shoot hundreds of miles into space. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Well, now you have. And that's why you love diamond. We're going to be doing, let's say we'll do some future podcasts on kimberlite eruptions so we can bring you up to speed on what this three-dimensional model of Earth actually means, what I know about field science in my studies for decades as a field geologist, and, well, what the suspicious observers that are all like puppies watching that channel is full of dogma and nonsense because he just has no experience in the field as a geologist. He just looks at papers and makes fairy tales up, pretty much like every scientist does. Quantum phase transition detected on a global scale deep inside the Earth. This paper means that the quantum phase transition means that we are entering a new phase of deep mantle eruptions, which happens during every grand solar minimum and magnetic reversal, which you're living. And this is the paper that covers that seismological expression of the iron spin crossover in ferropericlase in the Earth's lower mantle. Yeah, take a look, and we're going to be covering this in great detail in some podcasts in the future. Now, fantastic news. Columbus didn't discover America. In the tree rings and radioactive carbon signs of the Vikings in North America as early as 1,000 years ago. So, Columbus can suck it. 2021, evidence confirming cosmoclimatological theory. Yeah, and that's the theory that we've been working on. The sun cosmic ray climate connection. Willie Soon is all too familiar with this, and a new study confirms the sun cosmic ray climate connection. Now, we're going to be covering this in great depth in the coming days through future podcasts, so stay tuned for those. And here you can see the work of Svensmark coming out on the 11th of October of this year, just 9 days ago. This will be the topic of the podcast, atmospheric ionization and cloud radiated forcing. This explains chemtrails and all the nonsense going on with that, as well as the fact that, well, cosmic rays cause cloud formation and cooling. And that's what's happening now. We're getting cooler. This is the coolest channel on the internet. And we've been exposing the fraud of cosmology in the last 5 years and how pathetic it is. Like the snowball theory of comets, when not a single comet has any snow on it, as well as this coming out just 13 days ago. The oldest gamma ray burst ever discovered is a piece of space junk, actually close. And the sudden brightening in observations of the oldest known galaxy is a piece of junk that's rather close. Similar to the detection of the first gravity wave, which was actually wasps having sex in the detector. That's a boom to idiots in knowledge. And where is the full moon in October 2021? Well, it's right now, today. It was earlier today, and it's the Hunter moon, and it's amazing. And if you're still in an area where you can see the moon, go out and look up. Please, do it for me. Do it for your soul, and do it for humanity. The most dangerous weapon to a corrupt system is an informed public. And that's a boon to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss-poor performance in the dystopian world that is exponentially increasing in assonance. Volcanoes continue to erupt. No one covers it like we do. The heroes that share this video will be forever remembered. Our one-time donors, our Patreons, we love you. Share this video and be safe. That's a boon to knowledge.